our repertoire of Python expressions. We've seen numbers and strings as primitive data objects. We've seen assignment, the ability to give a name to a value. We've seen input and output characteristics. We've seen the ability to make comparisons. And we've added in looping constructs, things like for and while loops. With that set of tools, they turn out to be sufficient to give us what we call a Turing-complete language. And what does that mean? It says just with that set of tools, anything that's computable, we can compute. So we can compute anything. That's actually amazing. With just that set of tools, anything that's computable, we can capture with a description using those sets of tools. Sounds like we're done. And of course we're not. And part of the reason we're not is that the code we're able to write so far, those scripts that we've done, lack what we call abstraction. And let me give you some reasons what I mean by that and then what the definition of abstraction is. For example, as you saw before, every time I want to use a script, I've got to reload the file. And if I want to do it with some different parameters, I've got to change the values of variables before I run that file. Moreover, or more importantly, I can't use the same variable names other places in the code. If I've got a piece of code that's using X, Y, and Z, I've got to make sure that they're not accidentally getting changed somewhere else. So I'm stuck with having to be very careful about the use of names. And finally, imagine I've got a piece of code that's computing the maximum of 2 numbers. I might want to use that many places. I'm going to have to copy it throughout the code. Doesn't sound too bad, except it gets very quickly cumbersome to be able to maintain that code. Suppose I change my mind about the actual details of how I do that computation. I've got to then search through the code and find all the places where I was doing that and make that change. Otherwise, I'm going to mess up. So I lack abstraction, and what we're going to do is add the idea of a function. A function is going to give us a way to capture a computation, to wrap it up in a package, and then treat that function as if it were a primitive, something provided to us by Python that we can just use. Let's look at that.